Rampages in Monster Hunter Rise are a totally separate quest type than your usual hunts, and they reward monster materials plus Rampage Tickets, which are used to upgrade weapons and eventually meld powerful talismans. This is also the only way you'll encounter Apex monsters, at least for now, which grant exclusive materials. So with all of that in mind, here's everything you need to know in order to S+ rank every Rampage quest you do, because the better you score, the more you'll get. The key to S+ ranking Rampage quests is completing sub-assignments, and completing these secondary objectives will help to increase your stronghold level throughout the quest, unlocking progressively stronger and better installations too. Check the sub-assignments under the mission's quest info to see how heavily they're weighted in the rank equation, and keep in mind those Slay the Apex, complete with 3 feints or less, and defend the gate are always sub-assignments. The rest change depending on the quest, and regardless of sub-assignments, repelling as many monsters as possible should be a main goal, and that is indeed easier with a hunting party. There aren't many sub-assignments you can prepare for in advance, but you can prepare your equipment for the leader of the horde, which is the most dangerous enemy of all. Bring a Palico instead of a Palamute too for its superior support skills. It can also help with the sub-assignments to inflict an elemental blight and inflict a status ailment. Look for Palicos that have the assist or gathering type, as these occasionally have skills that inflict blights like Shock Tripper or ailments like Poison Prison, though you can't entirely rely on your Palico to do the whole job for you. As a quick reminder, blights have blight in the name and need to be inflicted by other monsters, Palicos, endemic life, or special items. Ailments, like poison, paralysis, and sleep, can be inflicted by your own weapons and Palicos with certain skills. Blight and stun effects can be inflicted with the tools given to you during a Rampage quest fairly easily, but you'll definitely want to prepare to inflict ailments, as options for those are more limited. And unfortunately, poison smoke bombs don't work here. At the beginning of a rampage and in between hordes, you'll have the opportunity to set up installations. Setting up a certain number of these is often a sub-assignment. Know that removing an installation and then installing another one counts toward the sub-assignment. And you should be doing this often because removing and reinstalling it doesn't cost you anything and it refills its HP. If an installation is destroyed by a monster instead, it will take a while before a new one can be built there. Some sub-assignments instruct you to repel monsters using certain installations. Pay attention to the specific wording of each sub-assignment, as they aren't always clear about which installations you need to use. If it says repel using a cannon, you need to use the mountable cannon, not an autocannon, so be sure to install what you need for the task at hand. You can check out the wiki for a full list. Don't waste your prep time either. Once you've got a Dragonator or Splitting Wyvern Shot, which are unlocked at Stronghold level 3 and 5 respectively, you can reduce their cooldowns at the power kilns, and you can just hold A to continuously feed these flames, which reduce the cooldown for everything on the field. If you're in a group, one of you might want to do this even while fighting monsters, because the Dragonator and Splitting Wyvern Shot are just that powerful. Speaking of, you should save the limited Dragonbait Warrior and put it right in front of a ready Dragonator when a big horde is incoming, or when the Splitting Wyvern Shot is ready to target as many monsters as possible. Comboing these installations is a great way to repel monsters and even occasionally clear sub-assignments. And yes, you have to fully repel monsters for it to count, not just land a hit. Some other limited installations, which are weirdly people from Komor Village, generally unleash their first attack at the first sign of a monster and are only around for a short period of time, so it's better to wait for a group to already be present. Lastly, in some rampages, you move onto a second area. You'll know from the quest details, where all installation limits and cooldowns are separate, so don't feel like you need to save the limited installations for the end. Do spend time before the final horde to set that area up though. Farcasters are particularly useful for easily moving between the two. Side note, you should aim Wyvernfire artillery installations after setting them. If a monster comes in contact with the red laser, they'll get hit. These auto installations can also inflict Fire Blight, which deals damage over time and causes monsters to flinch more easily. Once the monsters arrive, use the manual installations to the best of your ability. Remember, you can hold R to guard against attacks while using them too. The game suggests focusing on the blue icon monsters that beeline it to the gates, but I like to knock the green icon monsters out of the air first. They're a huge pain that target installations. Focus on the red icon monsters last, or of course you can always switch your direction on whoever is giving you the most trouble at the time. You can easily stun monsters by aiming a ballista's crag shot at its head, but keep in mind you can only reliably do this once per monster. Inflict Thunder Blight on a massive number of monsters at once with a cannon's thunder ammo, which you can charge by holding down Y while continuing to shoot the normal cannons. Thunder Blight has the added bonus of making it easier to stun monsters too. Inflicting the same blight twice on one monster is difficult, unless it's the boss, but luckily picking up the materials monsters drop solves that. Plant those elemental barrel bombs within a mass of monsters and detonate it with a fearless attack or a kunai to affect as many monsters as possible. Of course, you can always set them next to bamboo bombs, but it's easier to guarantee a multi-hit if you're willing to get down and dirty. Most of the villagers do massive damage to the monsters around them at quite a long range, but Master Utsushi makes the surrounding monsters rideable, so save him for when there are plenty of monsters to choose from. Wyvern riding is another great opportunity to try to inflict ailments or blights, like with a Puke's poison or Mizutsune's water blight. When the counter signal is activated, that's your cue to drop everything and repel monsters up close and personally, as your weapons will do massive bonus damage. Hopefully, these tips will help you survive every rampage you face. For more on Monster Hunter Rise, check out 24 Things Monster Hunter Rise Doesn't Tell You, and our concise beginner's guide to hunting a monster. For everything else, you're already in the right place. IGN.